Today is our 29th episode of Flippin' Friday, and I'm gonna show you how you can easily make over a $100 profit with an all-white budget gaming PC like this. And honestly, you're probably not gonna believe just how well older hardware like this can run. Let's dive in. Today's video is sponsored by GVG Mall, and you probably already know that I've been using them for so long to activate Windows on a ton of my own builds. They're actually running a huge sale right now, which boosts my normal 18% discount up to 25% off if you use code ZTT18, and I'll have that linked at the top of the description. They not only have Windows keys, but also a ton of other stuff such as Office, and even game keys for platforms like Steam, Origin, and Uplay, and they even have console stuff too, like PSN and Xbox prepaid cards as well. Activating Windows is super simple and only takes like 3 minutes total, so activate Windows today and remove that nasty watermark, and don't forget to use ZTT18 for 25% off. Kicking things off with the CPU, here we have the Ryzen 5 3600, and I haven't used this chip for a while, but lately this is becoming one of my favorite budget CPUs actually. The 3600 can still handle a huge variety of low to high-end graphics cards without bottlenecking them, and you can easily find them for a pretty low price. I paid just $65 for mine off eBay, and that was an easy buy it now price, not like a bidding war or anything, and I saw multiple ones for $70 on Mercari, so it's definitely an easy option right now. I did look it up, and as a rough estimate, the Ryzen 5 3600 can be paired comfortably with an up to RTX 3060 Ti, so it can certainly handle a lot of different GPUs. If you for whatever reason can't find the 3600 on a good deal though, here's some other options that I recommend. I'll have links to everything we're talking about today down in the description. Now, in terms of cooling the 3600, you honestly don't need much, but I did find a really good deal on this Thermalright Assassin X 120 SE ARGB for just $17 brand new on Amazon. I like that this allows us to get a little extra RGB action in there, but if you want to save some money, the other benefit of going with a Ryzen CPU is that it will usually come with a CPU cooler, and I would recommend just painting it all white so you don't have to spend $20 to $30 on an all white cooler, which increases our profits even more. This is exactly what I do with our Frostinova gaming PC, the build that we keep restocked on the ZachsTechDrift.com website, and we actually upgraded that to a version 2 with the new Fractal Design Pop Mini Air case and kept it at the same low price. Link is down in the description if you're trying to pick that up for yourself or for a friend that you just don't want to bother building a gaming PC for. Moving on, we get to the motherboard that we're plugging the 3600 into, and this was a really good deal, although it did unfortunately not come with an IO shield, which is always a bummer. This is the Asus Prime A520M-K, and I picked this up used on Mercari for just $30. That's an unreal kind of price right now since AM4 motherboards aren't as cheap as they used to be, but we are getting what we paid for without the IO shield, but I personally think the super low price is still worth it. For an alternative, per usual, just go with any A520 or B450 board that you can easily find a good price on. Next up, we have the RAM, and I've actually been using this kit more recently because it's one of the best deals that you can find for an all-white DDR4 kit. This is the Timetech Pinnacle Conduit, which is 2 by 8 gigabytes, and since we do have that Ryzen CPU, I opted to get the very fast 3600 megahertz speed, which is definitely worth it in my opinion. I paid $57 for my kit, but here's 3 more alternatives that you can use for around a similar price point. And finally, to finish off this motherboard prep, we have the SSD, and again, I'm using these $25 NeTAC 500 gigabyte NVMe drives because I bought like 12 of them now, so I just gotta use them. You probably won't find a deal quite this good, but feel free to go with any of these alternatives for just a few bucks more. But now that the motherboard is prepped and ready to rock, let's take care of the power supply real quickly, and here we have the Enermax Marble Bronze 550 watt, and I've been buying these a ton lately as well. This is actually over on Jawa.gg because Enermax has been consistently selling power supplies directly over there, and this is one of the best power supply deals on the entire internet right now. This is a tier C unit, but it's a good one at that, and for 45 to 50 bucks, there's just not much competition these days because PSU deals are really hard to come by. Hopefully I don't let the cat out of the bag too badly on this one. Mom, the cat's out of the bag, Mom! And they go out of stock. This posting has been honestly a lifesaver for me, but if it does, then be sure to check out the other cool stuff on Jawa because it's one of the best websites for us PC flippers. Here you can buy PC hardware deals from other community members or companies just like this one, but you can also easily sell your completed builds, and people are having some serious success over there. I actually have a small equity ownership in the company, and I even write a newsletter every single week about my favorite build that's currently up for sale. Maybe you can get your build feature one day, but remember, aesthetics over everything is how I roll. Moving on, next up, we gotta plug some cable extensions into this marble bronze, and for the build, we're just gonna go with the tried and tested Asia Horse white extensions. These almost always cost $22, and they are very reliable, but there are some other options that you can go with that are on the screen now if you wanna test those out. I'm also applying some vinyl wrap on here because our case has the PSU cutout, and this will look so much better than the random branding, letters, and colors that any power supply is gonna show on here. Highly recommend doing this as a PC flipper. And speaking of that case, this is the Zalman Z1 Iceberg white, and I actually used this in Flippin' Friday episode number 20, which was a very similar build to this one, so check that one out for some more ideas. I love how this Iceberg looks super clean right out of the box, and you really don't need to add any other fans or anything. It's just ready to go, and you'd love to see the low price of just $68, which is what I paid over on Amazon. If you are looking for some other all-white micro ATX case options, you do have some more available like these, but unless they are on a really good deal, you'll probably end up paying a bit more than what I paid for this here. Real quickly, with the RGB of this CPU cooler, since we are using a very cheap motherboard that doesn't have a 3-pin ARGB connector on it, you're gonna have to buy something like this, where this can take a 3-pin ARGB connector into SATA power, and then you have the button here to control the different RGBs. As a PC flipper, I always keep these in stock. They cost like $5 extra. So if you are gonna follow this as a template, make sure you factor this into the total build price, or just buy a ton of these, that way you have them. And after a quick cable management cleanup job, it's time to install our graphics card as the final component, and this is none other than the classic Asus Dual GTX 1060 6GB card, which is still kicking, as we'll see in the benchmarking section here soon. Now for our GTX 1060, you'll usually have to pay a bit more than the average price if you want an all-white unit like this, but in my opinion, it's worth it because an all-white build like this can always sell for higher profits compared to like literally anything else, and even if it doesn't, well then you'll at least have some extra aesthetics and clean AF photos to add to your portfolio and show potential buyers that you mean business. But speaking of business, here's what the final parts list is looking like, and as you can see, I paid less than $400 for mine, and you could easily sell a build like this for $500 or $550. Honestly, I probably shoot for $550 just because of how white and clean it looks, but that call will be up to you depending on your patience level. And just so you can see what the Ryzen 5 3600 and GTX 1060 are capable of, Sam of course has us covered with a quick benchmarking run, and here are the results. Yep, you can easily play any game you want to in 1080p, and older hardware like this still has a purpose in 2023. Don't let the TikTok comment section fool you. Hopefully you enjoyed this episode of Flippin' Friday. Make sure you click right here to see all the other episodes of Flippin' Friday, and I'll catch you guys in the next video.